Well, it is an honor to be here tonight. We are doing this incredible
Yes.
thing for the Bob Woodruff Foundation. How did you get involved with this?
You know, as my bourbon or whiskey geekdom grew, as I tour, I would invite local distilleries,
Hmm.
some of these craft brands, and say I'm in Utah, I'd invite High West, and so what I discovered is how often there was this consistent veteran element, either owned and started by veterans or the master distiller or they employed veterans, and I kind of brought it. I worked with the Bob Woodruff Foundation, uh doing stand up for heroes, and I released a special on my website. I think this was probably 15 years ago, where it benefited the Bob Woodruff Foundation. And so I just brought it up to them. I was like, hey, have you guys ever done anything considering the consistent veteran presence in some of these craft brands? And they're like, no. Do you want to do it? And I was like, well, yeah, maybe. I mean, I'd love to do it just because I love any excuse to drink whiskey and learn more. You know what I mean?
Of course, you started your brand in the last couple of years, and it has been kind of fun to watch you grow and how you kind of tapped into the culture a little bit.
Yeah.
What's your general thoughts on the bourbon community?
I I love it. I still have so much to learn, but I'm constantly amazed by how it reminds me of the obsession that stand-up comedians need to pursue, where you to be in the bourbon geekdom, or which I don't even feel comfortable. I'm just saying that because other people say geekdom. But like, if you're obsessed with bourbon, there isn't a logic necessarily associated with it. And that is the same with people that are really into stand-up comedy, whether they're pursuing it or they enjoy it. It's There's this fulfillment in the investigation of it. And I think that from my personal experience, I appreciate how forgiving and welcoming the bourbon community has been, because there's been plenty of times when I've probably said something, and I will continue to do that. Um, there's a patience that is a necessity for people as they enter the bourbon world. I know that people get angry about taters and maybe how overhyped a Blanton's is, but like, there's generally an acceptance and kind of um, a like-mindedness. Like, yeah, I get it. Oh, you're at, like, even when you were setting up, and I was like, I can't wait to hit my rye phase, because where I can consider myself a man, because I've been told by so many people that you'll get
Yeah.
there. It's kind of, I'm still in my a little bit of my proof whore phase, where I love a high proof, and I love the viscosity and the complexity of a higher proof. Um, and then, but by the way, I had old line. I think it was old line. I had a single malt, and I liked it. Like,
Old line's incredible. Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
so I'm so
I think
surprised when
one of
somebody.
the key things is appreciating spirits. That can be, bourbon is often a gateway into spirits as in general.
Yeah,
But you might find yourself like wanting to try gin. You might find yourself
yeah.
into tequila. As long as you don't, navigate into vodka, I mean, it's all good.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
No, that's been so fun. Developing stand up is the understanding of, there is a tribalism, not the negative association that exists with the term tribalism, but and whether it be Kentucky specific or even spirit specific, where you'll see, like, in Pennsylvania or Maryland, there is kind of we're the rye people. And but I really love the story. I love the stories. I love the element of bullshit. I love the trajectory of a story where it's, Jefferson Ocean, which let me set this up by saying, like, I had some Jefferson Ocean that I got at Bourbon and Beyond, and it was great. But like there was this trajectory where it was this hot, interesting discussion, and then there was kind of this blowback. I felt like that people were like, "Oh, it's boat whiskey. It's just a marketing stunt." But in a way, it's all a marketing stunt. Do you know what I mean? It's all kind of, and that's where I wanted to do this bourbon set that kind of acknowledged some of it. But I also love the bourbon community, like the whole fact of when Heaven Hill burned down,
Oh,
and
a
what do
little.
we got here?
Here we
Food
go.
is more important.
Yeah.
But where they help out a competitor, like you don't think like, I mean, I don't know if Coke's going to do that for Pepsi, right?
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what else you got? Oh, I'm okay on that one.
Oh, I'm good, thank you. But what is because you've been at this
Yeah.
for such a significant level, and you've witnessed, like, where are you standing? Like, is the story, does it have the same mystique? Is the science more impressive?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's it. That's a good question. Um, I've been. I get really. I think I get so over the stories of my grandparents. Or I
Yeah,
resurrected this forgotten trademark.
yeah,
I'm actually, you and like Dirk Bentley and now Jared Allen and Terry Bradshaw and Peyton Manning, y'all injected like kind of some like new life into bourbon for me in a lot of ways. When people of stature outside of the community started getting into it, because y'all came with your own story that wasn't made up. It was your story, and you kind of brought it along the way. But man, there's so many made up stories out there.
yeah, yeah,
It's something I cover in my new book I got coming out in February. Is just like the real history of bourbon is fascinating, but the brands have only ever sold the folklore. But if
yeah.
but there was a time when they didn't think that people would care about how whiskey was made
Right,
and the real story behind it and the business side of it. They didn't think people would care, and so they didn't tell that story.
right.
But today anymore, I'm just excited when something is new that comes out and someone's passionate about it and they're looking at the their brand as more than just case sales and an end route.
Yeah,
And especially now, like if you're out here hustling in the bourbon space, you're having to really work,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. It is interesting because we know about the people that get in for to get the check, but that's where it reminds me of stand up is like there was this time when I started in stand up where it's like you do stand up, then you can get a sitcom, and then you don't have to do stand up. Well, I got into stand up because I love stand up. I mean, it's not to say that I don't want to be successful, but it's also people that like your motive in pursuing bourbon better be sincere because there is no guarantees. You know what I mean? And if anything, it's like the window of success is more narrow than it's ever been, right? Or in past 20 years, right?
Yeah, that's right. And truthfully, the bourbon space it it's shrinking, but I think it's poised for a significant rebound for a few reasons. One, the alcohol lobby has done a very good job of trying to block weed in all the prominent states when it's come up for a vote, and that's been the THC drinks and cannabis has been a big thorn in alcohol side. They're spending a lot of money to block it. So I think that's one thing that you may see. It could be something federal related. The tariffs have been bad, but what's happening is a lot of the really good product is getting back on the shelves that people didn't taste for a long time because they couldn't buy it.
Right.
I think once that starts circulating back out, people are going to be like, I'm back into bourbon.
Right. I also think that having so many kids, I've got 5 kids and 13 to 21, and what I witnessed is there's a social element to consuming alcohol that is not part of the weed experience. That's not to say that, like, we've all smoked weed, but it is not like a socializing thing.
Yeah, the gummies, it's like sitting on your couch.
Yeah, and you kind of disappear.
But also, like, if you look at like the data coming out on the dating culture, like there are dudes in their like 20s who have never went up to a young woman and asked her out. I'm like, man, I just struck out 1,700 times by the time I was 25.
Yeah, no, I didn't have any confidence until I was in my 30s. I tell that to my son. I'm like, believe me, it's like the anxiety you're experiencing is unfortunate, but it's kind of a consequence of your age.
It's part of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the social element, there's a big push on that. You even have doctors coming out talking about how it's important. And I'll tell you, as someone who was in the military for 9 years, and wherever you could legally drink, we drank.
Yeah.
It was huge in the military. So like that's why I think that's why you do see so many veterans in the bourbon community. And that's why I was so thankful that you spearheaded this and really wanted to put it together, because I've been trying to talk about some of these brands, like MB Roland.
Yeah.
It's a brand I'm really passionate about, have been for a long time. We were actually in Iraq around the same time.
Wow.
And he is a very special person. You got 4 branches here.
Yeah.
Those guys are like, stud Green Berets, who some of them went on to be in the CIA.
Yeah, no, it is interesting, the vibe, because all these guys are these brands are so impressive. But like the 4 branches guy they came in and there was a little bit of like, we're here, motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, all right. And they were very nice, but it was just like, that's right, we're here. Like there's a confidence that is inspiring.
Yeah, they're special cats, and they got connected with Randy Couture, and he became like their celebrity spokesperson. And I was like, man, he's very fitting. You guys can beat people up. He can beat people up. You guys are for the beat people up crowd.
I also feel like, some of the idea behind this, and this is an event here in New York City, that some of it is people want to do things to show appreciation for their people that have served this country and their families.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so, like, sometimes I think people are like, well, I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
But some of it is like, you can, support a veteran-run business, and that's a pretty easy thing to do. And these are all, they're all quality businesses. They're not like some, something that somebody's trying out. These are successful businesses that, you can sit there instead of, I did a post about this. It's like, instead of saying thanks veterans on Twitter or X, it's like you can buy a bottle from Old Raleigh. You know what I mean? It's pretty simple.
Yeah, the truth is, like, there was a lot of things come out today on social media about, like, veterans are tired of being thanked, and I was like, it kind of feels like, some of it is disingenuous, that the people just coming out and saying it on social media is disingenuous.
Well, it's performative, right?
Something real is supporting their business, buying a brand.
Absolutely.
That's real.
Absolutely.
But you put this together, and we've got a Medal of Honor recipient coming tonight. We've got retired generals, and a lot of us could barely make it.
Yeah.
The government shut down like really came down to the wire.
It was, yeah, there's a lot of people that were supposed to be here that, the Peerless people couldn't come. Drew from Willett uh donated a nice purple top to the auction, but like it's like his flight was canceled. He's like, I can't, if I'm supposed to get there, I can't, come in the day after, which is
Yeah.
understandable. But like you really pulled a rabbit.
I think it ended up being 5 flights, and I started noticing a pattern. It was like everything was LaGuardia related. So I was like, hey, let me switch it up. Let me try to fly into New Jersey.
Yeah,
So I flew into New Jersey, and then once I got that flight, it got changed, and then it was like 3 hours late. I was going to be here super early,
yeah,
with this new plan, and just I was really stressing it. But
yeah,
the one thing that I did do was I was like, all right, I gotta skinny this whole trip down, So I was gonna check some stuff,
yeah.
but and also that's something that the military teaches you. Like you got to adapt. You got to adapt, and that's one of the things. Like I've already got to ride home if tomorrow's flight is canceled.
That's great.
Get me rolling.
There you go. That's
So
great.
one thing that like you have been you're a leader in the comedy world, and you started like opening up your tour to bourbon fans and to the bourbon community. And I don't know if you know how much that was appreciated
Oh no,
by fans. People really, really appreciated that.
it was so fun to see because I've been doing stand up long enough to feel certain pockets in the room when I would do material that would be because they feel seen, right? We all have, it's a shared passion, and that was what was so interesting about eventually deciding to do this whole bourbon set, which was, because you can talk about bourbon anywhere, like I've done shows in Canada and talked about bourbon, and they know bourbon, but like it's not their native spirit, it's not Canadian whiskey. But like, if you're talking bourbon in, Kentucky and Tennessee, Georgia, or North Carolina or Virginia, you're safe. But if you get into some states, they're like, what are you talking about? So when I was kind of constructing the material for the set, it was because, when people come to my show, I value them buying a ticket, but more importantly, I value their time. It's usually their night out. Maybe they got a babysitter or so it's like I wanted to make sure that I delivered a quality show that appealed to them. But doing this bourbon set was very much kind of, I knew it was a niche thing, but for bourbon obsessed people, I think it'll be right up their alley. I mean, you were at the Lexington show.
Yeah, it
It's
was
like,
great.
it's just you saw like 10 minutes and I've kind of expanded it, and it reaches an absurd level, and I know for certain that next year I'll be like, oh my gosh, I should have done this joke, or because you're learning. I'm sure you're still learning, right?
Yeah, and well, the culture, absolutely. The culture is like of the bourbon world always changes, but the space itself is like it is. I've only been with bourbon while I was on the way up.
Wow.
I've never been with it when I was on the way down.
Wow.
And so you're seeing like who people really are and their strategies, and you see a lot of people exiting, and you're like, okay, that makes sense.
Right, 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 right.
But you definitely see a big difference amongst people. Now, here's an interesting question for
Yeah.
you: is there a possibility that you could do a hot pocket and bourbon collab? Could we see a hot pocket bourbon in the near future from Jim Gaffigan?
I don't know. I think that like that would be, there is a cigar blend, right? So there could be a hot pocket blend, but some of it is, I don't know if I'd want to, you know, it's like I almost feel like the hot pockets, even the brand of hot pockets, had their peak at a different point. Do you know what I mean? And so I've, like from a stand up point of view. I've kind of evolved, and I haven't done that material in a while. But I am aware that if I died tomorrow, it would be Hot Pocket Comedian Dies. But
Not true. More than that.
it would be Bacon Comedian, or a guy who talked about horses for too long dies. But or a guy who complained about his children. But yeah, no, that's where I think it's really interesting, because I even think like this cigar blend thing, and I understand the logic behind it, and I understand how the pairing, and how there is such a synergy. Like here at this event, the Soho Cigar Bar is giving every person that comes here a cigar. But like, there's everyone who drinks whiskey also eats. Do you know what I mean? So like, why not a steak blend? Because I feel like there's some culinary things, some culinary pairings, and you know much more about
All
this,
my barrel picks, they have to pair with a steak.
right?
Yeah, that's a big thing.
And there's, I feel like I feel like a Booker's would go great with some sharp cheddar. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I know they do it with chocolate and stuff like that. That's a big key element of every gift shop, right? It's
The chocolate.
yeah,
Yeah. The cheddar doesn't keep as well.
yeah.
They attract too many mice and flies.
All right, so let me put you on the spot.
All right.
3 predictions in the American whiskey space.
Okay.
Who's gonna buy Kirin, or did they just do it?
So I think
Kirin's selling 4 Roses, right?
Yeah, so that's been out. My prediction on that will be like some kind of private equity play. But I also think that there's a real possibility that like Sazerac is the kind of company that could go after them. Brown Foreman, they're not sitting on a lot of cash right now, but I think they're a good possibility. Campari would be completely out because Campari essentially, they got their assets seized in Italy. So for lack of better, commentary on that, they're in problem. They have some problems. Pernod Ricard has been chasing Four Roses for some time. They seem to have lost their luster on it, or they could be going in a quiet period where they're making their move. Constellation is just like, we're moving on from American whiskey.
Really?
So I think
Is there something about American whiskey or whiskey in alcohol consumption that Gallup thing where consumption's going down, that somebody might want to, like you look at soda consumption is down dramatically. Is there some kind of pivot where someone could do that? Like like you look at Coca-Cola, would they buy 4 Roses?
well, yeah, I mean they're down though, right?
Yeah.
It would make sense. That would be a good fit for someone like that. I think it'd probably be from someone who's coming from the energy space that has
Oh, right.
cash,
Right.
understands the beverage market a little bit. I don't foresee a lot of outsiders coming into whiskey because, as you've seen, it is a difficult area to navigate from a business perspective. People have a hard time understanding that.
Yeah. And if you do it wrong once,
Yeah, there's so much capital tied into it. You can't. I don't know your business arrangement, but I know it. I know where you are and approximately how many cases you got, and I'd say there's a lot of money tied into what you're doing.
yeah.
So,
No, well, Stu, the good thing that Stu and I, which I think is different from how other people have done it, is that this is really kind of a passion project, which sounds like empty words, but like it's much more of something where we don't have to pay the rent,
right.
or even pay someone back. So it's one of those. I mean, I've always approached Father Time like, if people don't buy it, then there's more bourbon for me to drink. But now, of course, my collection is so big, I would never be able to consume all the. How many bottles of whiskey do you have?
Oh, I don't even. I mean, honestly, I really don't know. But also people send me stuff, so it's not,
Yeah.
I do buy a lot, but I'm not buying everything. Right?
Is there? All right.
About 6, 7,000, something like that.
And is there? Say you reach a point where you're like, you know what? I want to buy a house in this other city. I'm gonna sell my bourbon collection.
I do have a few bottles like that. Yeah.
How much, like, could you sit there and raise $1 million easily? A
Well,
couple times?
a lot of them are open. But I have
You probably got a backup or two, right?
Well, so I have the 10th bottle of Poppy 23 ever. Like,
Wow. Wow.
I have, some of the really early Michter's 20, 25-year-olds. I mean, I got a lot of stuff from the 30s, 40s, 50s.
Yeah, what's your oldest bottle?
My oldest bottle,
Pre-Prohibition?
yeah, I have a bottle from like 1908.
Wow.
An old rye, and then I have, I bought some whiskey from the 1800s before, and that was fun.
And is it so? Because I think that there's bourbon nerds that have justified some of this stuff as an investment. Do you feel like it is a solid investment?
It was.
Yeah.
It was. I don't know if it is now. I would.
You think that it's gonna? I mean, because I look at Unicorn, I don't think things are going down.
No. Certain bottles, like here's the thing. Certain bottles will always be there because there's a market for them.
Yeah.
But like there's a cap for everything, and if there's not new Wall Street bros coming in with the private planes wanting a particular bottle, then that market will be tapped. The other side is the Japanese and the Chinese elite have a hankering for bourbon. If they start getting into the collector's side a little bit more, as they have in cognac, as they have in Scotch, that could swing the auction world a little bit. But once, from the auction side, that doesn't hit. It may be good marketing for a company like Sazerac, but it's not bringing any juice to them per se,
Wow.
So anyway, you got a party to host.
I know, and I'm gonna you're gonna be talking to some of these brands, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thanks so much, Fred. It means so much.
Good seeing you, man.
We'll be right back.
Be right back, yeah. Bring you up there, right?